19. Next item on the agenda is the minutes of the December 7th, 2018 meeting. No,
It needs to be
January 7th.
January 7th, 2019.
Sorry about that.
Second.
There's been a motion by Councilman Scipio to approve the minutes of the January 7th, 2018 council meeting, seconded by Councilman Hudson. 2019. Okay. I might get it right tonight somewhere. Any further questions or comments? Being done, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is invoices submitted for payment.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend in form of motion that we pay our invoices for $119,297.79 for this period.
Second. There's been a motion by Councilman Hudson to approve invoices for payment in the amount of $119,297.79. Was seconded by Councilman Wolf. Any questions or comments? Being none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is approval for American Tree Experts to remove a tree at 1307 Myers Avenue.
I'll make a motion to remove that tree, 1307 Myers Avenue. I'd also like to explain. I'll go ahead and second. This tree is already putting up sidewalk, working on a driveway next to the gas line, and the event continues to fall year round. We need to get that thing out. It's all good.
I think.
There's been a motion by Councilman Scipio for approval of American Tree Experts to remove the tree at 1307 Myers Avenue at a cost not to exceed $1,800. Motion is seconded by Councilman Arnett. All those in, are there any further questions or comments? Being none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda, we'll probably have some discussion prior to taking motion. If you all feel that's appropriate. Approval to proceed with the steps to demolish 301.5 19th Street to include obtaining asbestos report, solicit bids for demolition or removal of structure. Mr. Leach,
this has been that problem property down in 301.5 19th Street. Everybody's aware of the siding's falling off of it. The inside is completely gone. The roof is starting to concave. It's a health threat and hazard in the area. Public. I worked with Steve, drafted a letter, get everything technically right under the new law, submitted it to the property owner. They had 45 days to do something with it. It's failed to happen. Contact me anyway. Just time runs out today, the deadline for everything. So I would like to proceed. Get the asbestos report done first. While we're working on the bids, we and once we approve the demolition, the contractor go ahead and demolish it and then go after the property and reimburse them on all the things.
You all followed all the proper procedures for
Cross every I, dot every T.
notifying any lien holder.
We notified the banks, the only lien holder Steve was able to find. I sent them a letter warning them of what was going to happen, and have not heard back.
And yesterday was the cutoff date for them.
Well, yes, technically, yes.
So it's in order for us to proceed now.
45 minutes, I apologize, that's for the entire last night. 45 minutes.
I make a motion, we move for approval.
We've got a motion by Councilman Arden to proceed with the steps to demolish 301 and a half 19th Street, including obtaining asbestos report, solicit bids for demolition, removal, destruction. Motion been seconded by Councilman Scipio. Any further comments or questions? Being none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is, we'll have some things about, talk about this. Approval to match the Virginia Culture and History Fair Festival grant of $5,000 for February 16th critter dinner.
I move.
Second.
There's been a motion by Councilwoman August to approve a $5,000 match to the Virginia Culture and History Fair Festival grant for the critter dinner, for the February 16th critter dinner. Seconded by Councilwoman Thompson. Any further discussion? Being done, those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda. Would you like to present that? Or, Councilwoman Thompson, I'm sorry.
Okay, there was a request to put a street light at, on Honeysuckle Lane because there was quite a bit of darkness up there. And after looking at it, we decided to put it at near 100 Honeysuckle Lane in order to get more light into that.
That's actually, hole number 163C in Charles 458, which is Rockville.
I'm sorry, we can't hear you guys.
Can you hear me?
I'm barely. I can't hear Mr. Skippy.
I'm sorry.
It's there.
Okay, say it again.
Can you hear it?
Yes, sir.
Nobody can hear it.
Okay. Can you turn it up a little bit? Sir, there's certain feedback. Yeah.
Mike, eat your mic. There you go.
They turn air conditioning on it. It's cold.
Okay, does everybody know where we are? Somewhere in the last, right?
I make a motion to approve it. Street light, 15 Honeysuckle Lane.
Second.
There's been a motion by Councilman Hughes to install a street light at 100 Honeysuckle Lane, and seconded by Councilwoman Thompson. Any further discussion or comment? Being none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda, I'll have Mr. Leishman discuss this?
Mayor, this was a property that was donated to us by Mrs. Bennett. She owned both houses, 211 and 213. 213 has extensive structural damage to it. So she donated it to us. She doesn't have the money to demolish it. We applied for and received a $5,000 REAP grant from DEP. And I talked to the demolition contractor, and he agreed to do it for $5,000. I will still have to get asbestos inspections done, and if we have to do asbestos abatement, it will add to the cost. I don't know if there is any or not, or what it can be, but whatever we spend on that will be all gas invested in that concrete. Ready literally to collapse. The demo contractor who's doing the job actually went down last week and braced it for us free of charge. And even if he didn't get the contract, he said it just needed done, and he's done a lot of work here in town. So he went down and did it for free. But we received two other bids, one was $6,300 and one was $15,000. Wow. I think $5,000 made that shot.
Any further questions, comments, discussion before we take a motion?
I'll move that we approve the demolition of 213 Dunbar Avenue, cost $5,000 from the REAP grant.
Yes. There's been a motion by Councilman Arnott for approval to demolish 213 Dunbar Avenue at a cost of $5,000 from the REAP grant, seconded by Councilman Scipio. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Did you have a comment? Or?
No.
Oh, okay. You just,
I said aye.
okay, you just looked at a surprised look on your face. Okay, next on the agenda is reports from officers and committees. Chief Moss.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Clerk, and Council. We always miss them too, so I'm gonna start with citizens, you guess. I'd like to, on the back when you came in, there was a know your winter weather terms. I think there was 20. If you didn't get one, I can make you one. But basically, tells you what the difference is between storm watch, weather advisory, and storm warning. You can read what it means, what you should be doing. Some driving tips there at the bottom since we're in winter time. We started working on junk abandoned vehicles today. We're not waiting till spring to do that. So what we're going to be doing is knock on your door trying to issue a citation. And if it's remedied, the court will take care of it. If we don't get you at the door, we're just going to come and do a criminal complaint through court and send it through the mail. I'll save an officer going back 2 or 3 times. If you have a junk abandoned vehicle in your driveway, you might be getting a letter of citation. Please self-medicate on that. The other thing I said, Mayor, is all 3 officers have made it to week 2. Actually, our day because this week's holiday. All 3 of our officers are still there, but they did lose quite a few officers first week this time. If anyone has any questions, I'll take them. If anyone needs a copy, I can make you one at the council. Thank you.
Chief, good to see you.
So if we have we know where there's a van car or a car without license sitting on the street somewhere, we should call you, right?
Call me or just compile this, bring me a list, and we'll do it that way. But if you're a citizen, you need to bring me a list also. If you want to run the hours, I'll take your list, we'll look at it.
Thank you.
Chief is going to thank you and Fire Chief as well for your all's work on Harold Crago's viewing and funeral. It was wonderful, very respectful and honoring to him. And Greg and Jim as reserves to help coordinate that, but it was very well done. The funeral home even shared with me they were impressed by it and appreciated it. And it was to see all of your reserves and certified officers' attention as we went down through there, and then to go under Big Frank and the American flag, and your officers, firemen that were in there. Not sure what you call it. Yours is Schedule A, but I'm not sure what yours is called. But Class A. They look very, very nice. it was a credit to our town. It was, many people commented on it, so both you chiefs did a wonderful job.
Chief Thornhill.
Good evening, everyone. Few quick things. The fire department typically uses January and February. They're cold months, so we do a lot of in-house training. We just completed last week PTSD training for fire service. Actually, it covers emergency services in general, but they were specific in how it affects us and what to look for in the numbers, and the things we learned were quite astonishing. It was very eye-opening to us. We had a group come in the specific for that, gave us what to look for, and gave us some options. Gave us a lot of information. That's something in my 22-year career has never been offered. And I'm very thankful to have them in. Got a lot of good feedback from it, and hopefully none of us ever need any of that. You never know. We've been working training on firefighter self-rescue, bailouts and windows, out of basement windows, a lot of that stuff. And we're uploading a lot of that information onto our Facebook page. So if you want to see any of that, it's all uploaded on there. And we'll be continuing to do that the rest of the month before we move into the next subject, which I apologize, I don't know what Jason has on tap for. The gear washer, I don't know if you remember, I told you we'd gotten money from Kanawha County Public Safety Grant money to buy a gear washing machine. I met with those folks, and if we can get everything worked out, we should be getting that installed next week, middle of the week, or the week after, I can't remember. But it's coming here within the next 2 weeks. We got a few little modifications we have to make it to build them for drains and such, but that will help not only keep the gear clean, but it will help us prevent cross-contamination of cancer-causing things that we're starting to learn about that we're carrying back from fires. And the negative news is our ladder truck is down and out. Had a little incident with the sidewalk there this morning, some cave-in. We cannot use that truck right now. It's unsafe to be used anywhere in the city, and it won't be taken anywhere else. Now, I've talked to 2 different vendors. We have 2 of them coming tomorrow, and if we can't get resolution for one of those 2, we have another lined up for next week. So hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to get the mayor additional information on it. We can make some repair decisions, and we'll go from there. We haven't broke anything else, that's it. And that was not our fault.
It's actually the outrigger on.
Yeah, it's the outriggers that go out that support the truck from tipping. There's a foot on there, and it caught on the edge of the concrete as it was backing in, returning from a call. And that concrete is caving in on the sidewalk portion of the street. So it was an unavoidable thing, and luckily that little foot, I believe, is sacrificial steel. It was able to bend without causing any major, huge damage to the truck. What we don't know is can we even buy that part, or does E1 have to stamp that part out new for us? But we don't feel better. Only thing I do know is I can't use the truck. We'll hopefully have some information by tomorrow. That's all I have. I'll take anyone's questions.
Chief, I'll make a comment. Since our last meeting, you all had the major fire. It's actually your ward, I guess. It's right near here over by Aldi, the house fire and business. And some of the guys are back there that were working that fire, and Bill did a wonderful job to contain it from a lot worse. And I noticed I was there, the chemicals being burned and everything. I was wondering how that would affect you all being inside fighting that, and how you get that out of your clothes. Because it was bad enough. I got out of there fast. I was getting a headache just from standing on the outside a little bit. But y'all did a wonderful job, and I know it was a dangerous situation, and fortunately no one was hurt, and South Charleston was helpful as well. But thank you all for that.
Very well. We've been dreading that and hoping that would never happen. I can't tell you how thankful I am that my guys went and came back home. I'm very thankful. Very happy. It's a very dangerous fire.
Well, you might as well stand up a second. The other staff members don't really, they kind of know, don't know, but Chief is going to be presenting tomorrow a safety plan that he's been working on now for the last couple of months. That all the departments will start. He's our certified safety person for the city, so he's put together a training program for all the departments, and so everybody will be mandated to participate in these training programs that he's putting together, and hopefully as a result of it, we can reduce some of our workers' comp fees by having an active safety program ongoing in the city. So thank you, Chief. I think it's going to be a huge asset to the city.
I hope so.
Next, Public Works Director, Mr. Elliott.
Mayor, council, citizens, just a couple quick things. As you know, the cold weather got us this weekend. We got the streets salted as quick as we could. I was personally out for 6 to 7 hours Saturday and Sunday getting salt out. In the last 6 days, we've picked up 66.42 tons of garbage all over town, and we have approximately 60 tons of gravel that were put out in the alleys and filling in potholes in the alleys. We didn't finish. There's still going to be more to come. But whenever other jobs come up, we have to break off of that and take off, and that's what happened. So that said, I'll take anybody's questions.
Scott, I just want to say thanks again for going out early, but you stayed out.
They had to touch Rice and Line Road when I got
I
out.
know that, but Rice Lake Road was real bad. I saw you got in the truck because I was right behind you, but I appreciate you coming out so early because out here down the hills, the mountain got solid real quick.
Yeah, Scott and I have been talking, and we've decided that the best plan is to start keeping up with the alleys all winter long instead of letting them get totally deteriorated, and then in the springtime trying to come in and have a massive problem. So if we stay on top of it through the winter, it won't be nearly as big a problem come springtime when we start getting concentrated doing other work items. Next item, or next person is Assistant Sanitary Board Director, Matt Dawson.
Mayor, council, citizens. Currently, we are working up in the Garnet Street area. We finished the one at Chestnut and Garnet, and we're going to hold off until they finish the dirt work up there and do the other two corners. So our next project will be the alley between 16th and 17th on Dunbar Avenue. We'll get that drain raised up and a big sinkhole for everybody to drop on. And that's pretty much all we have. Is there any questions?
I think there's a couple other inlets that's going to be worked on too, which y'all find time.
That's fine.
Mr. Leishman.
Mayor, council, I'm a little dubious of Chief Thornhill's claim that they didn't intentionally tear that up. He's got new garage doors, and I think he's got new sidewalks. We'll be out there in the rain tomorrow to fix it.
I have a plan.
We're gonna go and tear out that sidewalk tomorrow morning and see what kind of issues we have under there first thing. I don't really have a whole lot. We do have property board on the 30th at 2 o'clock. We'll have 5 different properties on there. One of them will be 405 11th Street, but it didn't quite burn to the ground. The business over on the High Avenue with busted windows. The fire dangerous house over on Moore, and the house beside or attorney Swisher, and then another house on 20th Street. That'll be the 30th for 2. Everybody's welcome to attend. Permits are pretty slow right now. The cold as it is, and with the weather, everybody's kind of holding on to anything. I'll take any questions, or somebody's got any comments or anything.
I have a question. the three houses on the end of 9th Street near Parker Store, I see they're starting to get boarded up. Where are we at with those?
I'm trying to broker a deal between the contractor and the owner. I think I've got it, but it's slow for the contractors, and he's trying to sell a house over in their house on 7th. There's still some people living in in the center
In the
house,
middle.
in the upstairs apartment. Everything else is boarded up. If you see vagrants or transients or whatever around, please let us know. And anybody who has a boarded up house in their neighborhood, if you see people going in or out of it, please let me or the police know. It is a criminal act to go into a condemned house without permission, and we're getting quite a bit of them breaking in, and that is what started the fire over on 11th Street, is somebody had broke into the house after it was boarded up, and did they light a mattress on fire or something? Did they ever determine exactly what it was?
Matches.
Mysteriously, a house with no electricity caught on fire, so fortunately nobody was injured, but we're facing that, and when we have these frigid temperatures, it's even more inviting for them to try and break into a boarded house. So please let me or call 911 or the police department or however you need to contact someone, but we all need to stay on top of that for everybody's safety. Because just like that house over there, when it caught on fire, it jumped to the next building and burnt the roof off a bit real quick. So, any other questions?
Thank you.
Recreation, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a reminder about the critter dinner coming up next month. On the 16th, I gave council, the mayor, all the department heads the menu. Thank you for approving the other $5,000. Prices did go up a little bit. But if anybody would like a menu or would like to help, during the critter dinner, give them the menu or call the office, like give you, a listing of what's going on, and yes, rats do have wings. Also, don't forget, March 2nd, we're having a flea market at the rec center. If anybody wants to come and sell, please contact us at the rec center. The form you fill out, I'll let you know what time you can come in and set up, and it's usually going to be like 9 to 2 on that Saturday. Just trying to get people out into Dunbar. And also, the flooring y'all approved several months back for the old senior room and kitchen. The floor in the senior room is 99% done, except for one little section, and they're almost halfway done in the kitchen. So it's good. So we'll be having to do some painting in the old senior room, so I'm going to have a woman come and help me pick up the paint. I'll take any questions you may have.
Hey, Bob,
Yes, ma'am.
does that meal come with complimentary bowlings?
I can put that in the budget. I will have some else
Next, public comments. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Fredette. I'm a relatively new resident of the city. My husband and I moved here in September. And I was just kind of concerned about the lack of recycling opportunities here. It's really difficult for the citizens, inconvenient to recycle. And I've talked to several citizens, and they would like to see something that's a little more convenient. I understand there is a cost problem. I did a little research. The state of West Virginia, Department of Environmental Protection does offer grants, and they have done that for several cities and counties around the state. The city felt like there was inadequate funds available. I would like to see us restart that, something that is cost effective and relatively convenient for the citizens. Also, I'm concerned about all the amount of material that we have to burn. I mean, we are basically in a hole here, this valley, surrounded by mountains, as you all know. And burning stuff that's probably not the best thing. A lot of people complain about respiratory problems. Notice, just hopefully we can do something different.
Yeah, we continue to evaluate the recycling program. REAP does provide grants for equipment and so forth like that, but they don't provide assistance for labor to do the recycling. And that's really where the rubber hits the road. We have the recycling bins down at the Public Works Department. Lots of people go down and bring their recycle down, and it's really except for the metal that we dispose of, and Scott, you can step in whenever I get out of whack here. The metal does pay for the recycling process, but the plastic and the paper, it's a dead loss for the paper and the plastic. And from what I'm hearing, from what Scott says from the recycling vendors, there's no market for it anymore. When the federal government stopped the subsidy of recycling, it pretty well killed the incentive for businesses to manufacturing concerns to deal with and process the recycling products. So the end disposal point is where the problem is. If there was a true market for it, probably the program would be advantageous again in Dunbar. Some of the bigger cities that have heavier budgets still continue on with it.
We're not. The other cities that haven't are mandated because they're over a certain population.
Is it 10 or 20,000 population?
It is 10,000.
10,000.
So our population in 2010 was 7,900. And I was just reviewing the census data Sunday when I was working on an application, and the estimated population of Dunbar now is 7,337, I think, or something. So we're well under the threshold to where the federal government feels that it's economically a break even. But we still struggle with it. You know, the council's committed to, you know, trying to do what we can to address the problem with the funds that we have. So we constantly look at it. So.
What are the funds?
Pardon?
What are the funds? Like, is there a dollar amount that the council would be willing to invest? Or?
As far as the expense, I can speak to that from memory. Don't hold me to exact, but the last time we evaluated it, when we still ran the truck and picked up and things, if my memory serves me correct, that would have been 3 years ago. And it was costing us as a city about $65,000 a year to do that, which was say, and again, this is just a guesstimate, about 75 now, because that industry, what they charge us to take the recyclables is only going up. And that's just a ballpark. That's going by memory from Connie. You may remember.
That's about correct. It's almost $30,000 just on bags.
I do know that Cabell County has put a recycling fenced in area. And if you want to recycle, you pay Cabell County. It's like $300 a year with a key fob to go in and out, and everything's camera. But they do not have recycling down there, from what I understand at all, other than that one place. And everybody that wants to recycle has to pay to recycle, so that the city's not losing money.
I think the biggest issue that's come over the years is the labor associated with recycling. As much as you say it's a good program, it is a good program, but trying to get people convinced to put their plastics in one bag, paper in another bag, their metal in another bag, and to separate it. They just say it's all recyclable and they can put it all in one thing. So then when it comes down to the Public Works Department, then they have to take somebody and dump all those bags out and sort all that stuff out. So it becomes the the recycle bags and stuff are fixed costs, but the labor is really where it is, and then you end up with no end product source that's, that reimburses you for it. So those are the things we've struggled with, but they still do a lot of sorting because people bring it down. They don't put it in the right location, but we've saved the labor picking it up curbside. So we're doing it all with the public works department. Okay, anyone else? We'll start with, I'll yield to Mr.
I've only got a couple of things. Number one is, Connie, at one of our meetings, you made a comment that we had about 100 vehicles in this city. Think about that. That's not an awful.
It's all, and equipment. The vehicles and equipment. That's what your backhoes.
Yeah, I realize that, but it still sounds like a lot. I think we need a department inventory to make sure that what we've got on hand is being insured, and we're not insuring something that we got rid of 2 years ago.
We just completed that this past summer.
All right.
We
still got that many?
I just threw out a figure.
Okay.
Wasn't.
Well, I kept thinking.
No, we
It's
actually,
more than what you think.
Yeah, I realize that when you start putting all that equipment.
Yeah.
we went through that this past March when we did the renewal with One Beacon for our insurance. And we went through and all the department heads submitted all the bid numbers and everything.
You step in the office after the meeting and we can look at it.
We've got an update, that's all I was concerned about. Second of all, we do have a problem in this town with abandoned houses, and, the last fire we had was the one that everybody did not want to happen, the house plus whatever next door. We do have an ordinance that covers that. I think it's ordinance 1130, as a matter of fact, which states in fact that if you have an abandoned house, it's your responsibility, property owner, to take care of it, notify the city that you are doing something with it. If after a certain period of time you do not, then you are liable to fine for that particular piece of property. I think, in other words, we need to look at this ordinance again and see if it's something we cannot enforce. I mean, it's on the books, we can't enforce it by the book, but I think we need to look at it.
Yeah, we have several structures that are, after the first year that they're noted as being abandoned, then they pay a $200 fee the first year, then it goes to $400 the second year, and then what is it, $600?
It's a $200 increase every year until the 5th year, and then it levels out at like $1,000.
And that's going under the assumption that they're not working on it or trying to sell it. So, I mean, that's just abandoned.
But after the first year, if it's been vacated and vacant, then it should be on the abandoned building.
It should be on the demolition list, actually.
Well, that's what I'm saying, we got the ordinance, let's go, see what we can do with it.
We would, to do that, we would have to tweak our ordinance a little bit. And the biggest problem we run into there is they're very hard to identify. If they keep the grass mowed and things like that, there might not be anybody living there, but I might not necessarily find out about it because there's no mechanism to do it unless they self-report. And the only people that do that are the property management companies. We do get checks from them occasionally. But they're the ones that work for the mortgage companies that come in and because we're not the only town that has that ordinance.
Right.
They're nationwide. They're nationwide, so they're pretty good about it. But landlords I know that aren't renting all of their property, that it's just sitting, and some of them are boarded up and some of them aren't.
Right. I realize that. Example, we got one over on the other side of Traction been vacant, what, 25 years? Family Feud.
Yeah.
But the point of it is, these things are there. Let's make people do something with them.
Well, I think 301 and a half 19th Street has been our first venture into doing this, and we can apply that code to all these, and we're only limited how much money we want to throw at the problem and go in and force the demolition and removal. Now that we've got it worked out, I mean, we can target the worst of the worst and start and start going after
I
it.
think we gotta see what we do with this ordinance.
One of the houses on the property was burnt down, well, didn't burn down, it's a brick house. Has a lot of fire damage. I think it burnt on like 30th or something of last year, or from January 30th of last year. So we're coming up on a year date now. And, you know, I talked to the woman, the owner, the other day, and she's like, well, I'm going to do something with it eventually. But yes, you are. I quit.
It's quite wordy in finance, so I'll pass.
I have nothing to say.
I pass.
I just want to thank everyone for coming out.
I just want to thank the mayor for setting up, he set up a meeting with Blair Taylor for February 7th at 6:30 in the council chambers for the council to discuss the fireman's pension fund and the budgeting process of getting it started and looking to see where we need to go. And I want to thank the mayor for that.
Thanks everybody for coming out. Department heads are doing such a great job. Y'all got your new calendar in the mail today. It shows the neighborhood watch being on the 7th, which is the wrong date. It usually falls the second Thursday of every month, but it's Valentine's Day on the 14th. So we moved it to the 12th and gave an invitation if y'all want to see how the court system works. They're having court that evening. You can come, but you can't carry your guns and your knives and stuff. You gotta be real quiet, but you come up and view the court process, and then we're gonna have neighborhood watch after that. So it's gonna be on the 12th and not the 7th.
Court start 6.
No, it starts at
3 and 4 o'clock, you start.
around anytime. Yeah, the problem is that, if you plan to come and visit court night,
Plan on standing.
you're gonna be standing up unless you get here early. The docket normally is 26, 27 pages deep, and there's 10 to 12 people on each page. So that gives you an indication there's 220 plus people that are scheduled to be in court, of which 50 to 75 show up for court. So the police department and the judge they're doing their part to get people cited, getting them noticed to come in for court. But you'll be, I try to sit in on most of them. You learn more about your community by coming to municipal court than anything else, because you see who's it'll shock you to see who comes in and what they come in for. But it's an eye-opening experience, and I think one that you'll go back and say, yeah, these guys are really doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're writing the citations, they're getting them to court, and the court's taking the action. So.
Please pray for all the government people that are involved with this shutdown. It's trickling down and it's affecting more and more people, and that's more and more kids that are being affected. So just that the good Lord will take care of it. He's got the whole thing in his hand. So that's my say tonight. And Mr. Mayor, for the good of the order, if there's no other city business, I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
It's hard to go there too, because it's only 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, but they started, we follow them on Facebook, County Solid Waste. They started opening up one